I believe that, when we meditate, we actually kind of like, calm down the conscious mind, and then you start tuning into that higher self or your subconscious or superconscious. So you can get ideas, guidance from wherever it comes from. Maybe it comes from the field, maybe it comes from spirits, from your higher self, or just your own intuition. But the more you do it, the more you can get creative and get guidance. So that's one of many benefits, I would say.
Hey guys, welcome to the 5th episode of True Spirituality. My name is Julia and I'm here with Mike Sygula, the founder of Truth Theory. Today we wanted to talk about chakras, energy centers, as well as chi, prana, and life force, as well as a couple of other interesting topics. So Mike, what kind of spiritual practices do you incorporate in your daily life?
So I would say meditation is definitely something I've been doing for a long time, and I find it really useful, and I would say it's one of the most important things that anyone can really do. So I've been meditating for like 12 years and doing it quite a lot, and I tried quite a lot of techniques as well. So the benefits that I've discovered over the years, I would say, there's just plenty of these things. Like one of the main things is that meditation can really clear your senses, can help you to be detached, to be creative. I believe that, when we meditate, we actually kind of like, calm down the conscious mind, and then you start tuning into that higher self or your subconscious or superconscious. So you can get ideas, guidance from wherever it comes from. Maybe it comes from the field, maybe it comes from spirits, from your higher self, or just your own intuition. But the more you do it, the more you can get creative and get guidance. So that's one of many benefits, I would say. Like, what kind of benefits did you get from your meditative practices?
I think for me, meditation really helped me like overcome my depression, because I think with depression you kind of are really associated with your thoughts and you're emotionally connected to them. But like once you start to meditate, like you said, you kind of dissociate from these thoughts, and so you kind of take away this like emotional attachment to it, which expands like your perception of who you are. So instead of being, like I am my thoughts, you're actually taking a step back and just observing those thoughts. So you're becoming the observer in a sense. And like you said as well, it also helps you connect with, your higher self and spirit guides and other things like that. And there's a lot of different practices for meditation that you can do. I think the most easy one is practicing mindfulness, which is what I mentioned earlier, which is dissociating from your thoughts and kind of just watching your thoughts float in and out instead of, attaching to them emotionally. But overall, meditation obviously helps like reduce stress. It helps improve your memory and focus. And there's so many like amazing ways to practice meditation. It doesn't have to be just sitting down and closing your eyes and attempting to not think.
Yeah, just by walking and focusing on being present, or by just washing dishes or doing anything where you have to have some kind of action, like even brushing your teeth, the movement, if you can switch off from, thinking about the present, future, or past, and actually focus on the act of doing something, or even when you do some exercise at the gym, like this is all helping you to get into that meditative state.
Yeah, I think another great way to practice meditation is like tuning into your body, which is something I think a lot of us kind of forget to do. And that's what you're saying, you know, when you're brushing your teeth or you're doing the dishes, like really tune into the movement that you're creating and the space and energy that you're in while being in the present moment.
Yeah, and you know, there's so many techniques and so many methods. I tend to use some guided meditations. We're going to include the links in the description. You actually created a couple of interesting meditations, guided meditations, on your website, so we can share with you guys these as well. And another thing, you know, when we talk about like the, you know, aura or the field we have, which is also linked to meditation, there is this concept of chakras. What do you think, like, what's your definition of chakras?
So, from my understanding of chakras, they're basically energy centers aligned like against your spine, and there's 7 chakras that people generally talk about, and it's basically like starting at the root chakra, which is in your pelvic and groin area, and going up to your crown chakra, which is your connection to the universe and a higher power. And basically, each energy center is focused on like specific skills or you know, unique concepts within that energy center. And when these energy centers are out of balance, you can kind of feel the negative effects in, you know, that energy center.
Yeah, so like chakras are basically these energy centers that absorb energy, which is called chi by Chinese, or Prana in India. And this concept has been around for centuries. Even Japanese have like ki, and I think in Korea they also have some kind of version of that. So, you know, this flow of chi is actually like, there's this idea that when we breathe or when we meditate, we keep absorbing that prana or chi from the field around us, and chakras are basically like these big energy channels that help you to absorb this energy. But also we have, our whole body is covered in tiny, small meridians, are called, and acupuncture also works on that. So, for example, one of the ideas in Chinese medicine is that, you know, when you have blockages in these energy channels on your body, like this is how illness develops. So it starts first on the energetic level, and then you start seeing it on a physical level. And all these exercises, like meditation, for example, they can increase the flow of chi or prana. Like qigong is another one, or tai chi, or even yoga. You know, they can help you also with the physical health as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I think with like our own energy centers and, you know, the like energetic space that we have when we're constantly like interacting with other people, we can also pick up their energy, and that can also influence us depending on what kind of energy those people might have. So you can pick up on other people's energy and then cause, you know, your own energy centers to be blocked as well. And I think it's really important for us to learn to clear these energetic blocks, because it helps us be in more flow and more aligned with ourselves. And you know, you can do that through meditation. There's a lot of like guided meditations where you're basically healing the chakra centers and clearing them, as well as, you know, balancing them.
Yeah, I think if you work on it, like, you know, for many months or years, you become more balanced in all sorts of different aspects: your physical health, your mental health, you know, your temper, all these kind of things. You're more kind of like, you don't react to situations. Someone might trigger you, you might be more calm in the way you respond to them. And it's definitely, there are just so many benefits of doing meditation. There's so many methods. The thing is, like, I would suggest to everyone, if you're new to meditation, pick whatever that's not like some super advanced complex meditations, and just play with it for a couple of weeks. Because a lot of people might try like 3 times and they think, it doesn't work, it doesn't do anything. But you won't get any benefits. You need to start with at least 3 weeks, like minimum 10-15 minutes a day to start getting anywhere with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like building a muscle, and you kind of just have to build up your, like workouts to increase your strength and stuff. It's the same concept for meditations. But besides meditation, there's also a lot of other spiritual practices that you can practice. I think the other day we mentioned like using tarot cards, which is a great way to kind of just get messages spiritually from your guides or your higher self, or just helping you, find answers within yourself. That's another spiritual practice that you can do. You can also try like chanting or using affirmations. Do you use any of this stuff, or how would you explain this to others?
Yeah, I think, I play with some things, like I've been using this affirmation every day. In every way, I'm getting better and better. So I just lay for like 15 minutes and keep repeating it in my head. I think it kind of like probably works. I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to see with these things.
Yeah.
But for example, chanting, I'm not like a massive fan of chanting, but I tried a couple of times, like the concept, for example, with Om being the most popular. Like, if you think about it, you try to keep the sound Om, it actually creates the vibration already. Like you can sense it yourself.
Yeah.
So it's whole idea of, your body starts to vibrate, and that creates the flow of energy, chi, that just increases the flow. So that's one of many, many ways of increasing that, the flow of chi. Meditation, qigong, all these different practices are just working on the same thing from a different angle. Even yoga, for example, if you look at the difference between yoga and Pilates, is that in Pilates they don't really focus so much on breath, when in yoga is a crucial part. When you do movements and stretching, all this kind of stuff, you keep breathing as well in a rhythm, because when you breathe you actually keep absorbing the chi through the channels, and when you keep stretching you can send that to all different cells and parts of the body. So that's like the idea, some of the ideas behind yoga as well. So all these different techniques, they're just different approaches, different things to get to similar goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think with chanting, it's not for everyone, but like I've tried it before, and my first time was in like a Kundalini yoga class. And I think with chanting, when you do it in a group setting, it like increases the energy because you're in this room full of, people who have the same goal. So I feel like with chanting, it's, much more powerful when you're in a room. But also, like, you could even listen to music. Like when I lived in San Diego, we would have these drum circles where they would chant, and you listen to the music of the drums and you dance, and you kind of get into this trance state where you feel like ecstatic, and you don't have to be like on drugs to experience this, and it's another way of increasing your vibration or your energetics. Like, that's another way that you could use chanting to help bring up your energy level.
Yeah. Another, everyone knows this method or this technique, prayer, right? This is like a key practice for many religions. What's your view on prayer?
I think like for a long time I was kind of against praying. Like I would only do it when I really was like, in a bad place and I really needed it. But then I found that, the more you pray and the more you put intentions out, the more you receive back in return. So, your prayers might be answered in different ways, but, a prayer to me is basically setting an intention and you're connecting with the universe or God or whatever. And this is basically, connecting to the energy and the space around you. And that's why it works and it helps. So, I don't do it all the time, but I know that like when you're praying, even if you're doing it like in your head or when you're saying it out loud, like it's really, really powerful and it really can, bring things into your life that you like wouldn't have expected otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have like some associations with religions and that you have to pray to God or Jesus or whatever. You don't have to do anything like that. You can just ask, like, just please help me with this, or I want to know how this works, I want to know how to solve this problem, and just keep having that kind of intention in your head and then see what happens. I think like the way prayer works is actually there is a bunch of, we're living in this multi-dimensional reality with like these etheric planes where you have spirits and other forms of entities, and they can actually listen to prayers in a way. They can be your guides, can be your higher self, or can be sometimes even negative entities. So it depends what you want, what you ask for. If you ask for something that is selfish, you might actually get helped by an entity that maybe is not necessarily someone you would like to work with. But, we all have higher self, like this, we talked about higher self before, which is like you are an expression of your higher self. So you can kind of work with your higher self and get guidance and get help. And this is a really important part with prayer. I would say the most important is always trying to pray to your higher self or and you can understand it in any way. Like you can think about just programming your subconscious mind, getting intentions out, whatever, way you look at it. But it can work and it can benefit everyone. Yeah, so a lot of the techniques like prayer or meditation especially, it might take a lot of time and a lot of effort to get to higher states. It's like with anything. Like if you, like me, I can get into meditative states for like 1-2 hours sometimes, and I can see the progress when I'm kind of like losing this identity of self and merging with the rest and all this kind of stuff. But this is something you can develop over a long period of time of really hard practice. So it requires a lot of self-discipline, and not everyone has patience to spend, months or years every day doing meditation. And there are actually shortcuts out there, like plant medicine, psychedelics, right? What do you think about psychedelics?
I tried them before, but I've never had this experience where I connected with my higher self or God or the universe through that aspect. I've heard about a lot of stories of people doing that. I just haven't done it myself, but I definitely want to try ayahuasca because I heard that it's a really incredible journey for some people, not for everyone, but I think, I worked at a ketamine clinic and we used ketamine to treat depression and anxiety, and basically, it worked as a way to break people from their traditional thought patterns. So I could see in this way how psychedelics can help open and expand your mind to a different reality, a new belief system, whatever it is.
Yeah, obviously psychedelics are powerful tools, so you have to think about it. You think about you want to use fire or you want to drive a car. like if you don't know how to drive a car, you don't have a driving license, you never tried, you might crash, right? If you never had anything to do with using fire, you might burn yourself or you might burn the house. So these are tools that if you work with them in the right way, under like right supervision and all this kind of stuff, they can be very beneficial. But if it can also be the other way around, where you can do something stupid or overdose, or take, maybe not necessarily overdose, but have some kind of really bad trip, bad experience. So that's something definitely to think about, and obviously taking into account that all of these substances are criminalized in most places. It's not easy to work safely because you never know what you're getting and all this kind of stuff. So it creates a lot of problems, but it seems like we're going through this renaissance in the whole field of psychedelics.